Intercessor Kreoss. There is no greater honor among the faithful than to take part in the Great Crusade, and there is no mightier crusader than Michael Kreoss. The Grand Exemplar, he led his order to retake Seoul and then bolster the Northern Crusade. As intercessor, he now leads the greatest army of the faithful ever gathered in a single force, or single cause. After the death of Hierarch Voil, Kreoss answered Severus' call to lead the Northern Crusade. His unyielding resolve and compassion with which he carries out his duties has made him a popular figure even beyond his brother knights. Common menites and soldiers also revere him. More importantly, Kreoss' sense of honor has never interfered with his loyalty to the priests of Menoth. Hierarch Severus looks upon the crusading knight as an essential pillar of his rule. After the Grand Exemplars returned to Laren from the defenses of the Menite Temple in Lael, Hierarch Severus gathered the Northern Crusade to witness Kreoss' elevation to intercessor. The ancient title has gone unused for many centuries, but demonstrates Severus' implicit trust in Kreoss. He can now act and fight on the Hierarch's behalf. Upon Severus' eventual demise, Kreoss is tasked with maintaining the stability of the Protectorate by preventing the martial orders from turning on one another at the behest of ambitious leaders. He also must ensure that the Great Crusade continues and that the theocracy and its army remain unified at any cost. Kreoss did not rest upon the promotion, but immediately marched his army into the field alongside Severus to confront enemies of the Protectorate. He played the instrumental role in guiding the Northern Crusade through the Khadorn-held lands, and then joined Hierarch Severus in his unusual temporary alliance with the Umbrian Vladimir Tepesky against Krix in the Thornwood. Were it not for the zeal and faith of the knights like Kreoss, darkness might have swallowed this portion of the mainland. Instead, the Krixians were driven from the region, their immortal masters toppled by mortal flesh and blood. Even with his unrivaled tactical brilliance, Kreoss prefers to lead his men personally and still conducts cavalry actions from atop his great steed Agon, along with a hand-picked vanguard of exemplar Avenger brothers. At the onset of the battle, he determines the most critical point in the battle and rides to confront the faithless there, crushing lesser warriors beneath Agon's hooves as he advances. Bearing his spear Conviction, Intercessor Kreoss acts as Menoth's rightful judgment made manifest upon the world. Yeah, so Severus basically made him the follow-up in case anything happens to him, which I can imagine why Fiora was so mad, especially during the Infernals crisis going on, because the person that held Protectorate and was told that Protectorate were his to hold together was Kreoss. So yeah, I can imagine why she was pretty angry about that. But he is on a horse, way more deadly, way faster than he was before, because at a 5 speed you can kind of be quick, but not nearly as quick as you can be on a horse. But let's read his Mark 3 to Mark 4 changes and see if he's gotten a better, worse, or kind of the same. And as always, we will start with his stat line because, well, that's probably much what he does. His speed jumped all the way up to an 8. His mat is still an 8. Defense is still a 14. Arm still a 18. Arc still a 7. And control is still a 14. He was given breakthrough, like most horses in Mark 4 have breakthrough. And he is a cavalry model, so he gets some fun benefits from that, including cavalry charge, which gives you an additional attack die when you're charging somebody from your horse. So that is awesome. His abilities, he still has divine inspiration, so this model gains an additional die on his attack and melee damage rolls, and you discard the lowest die, which is awesome. He has leadership exemplar Vengers, while within 10 inches of this model, friendly exemplar models also gain divine inspiration, so they also get an additional die on their attack and damage rolls and clear out the lowest ones. And then as a horse, he is given, or as a cavalry model, he is given reposition 3. So after not a run, or he did not run or fail a charge, he can move up to 3 inches and reposition himself in a little bit better spot. So yeah, he makes their horses way more deadlier with that, and way more accurate, and they can really dish out some damage. But let's check out his weapon, Conviction. Conviction is still a mat 8, range 2, power 14, magical weapon with blessed So with Bless, they remove any armor or defense buffs caused by a spell or an animus, which is awesome. And then he has Brutal Charge on that as well, so he gains a +2 to his charge damage roll, so he is charging with a 16, which is crazy high, especially being that, you know, he gains an additional die on his attack and damage rolls with that anyway. And then his feat, Invocation of the True Law. Enemy upkeep spells and animized in his control range immediately expire. And then Kreoss can immediately cast each of his upkeep spells without spending focus, which, let's go check out his spell list and see what he has kept. I'm assuming probably everything, because, well, that's usually how it goes. Alright, first upkeep spell, he has Arcane Ward, and he kept that. So target friendly faction / unit gain +2 defense and cannot be targeted by enemy attacks. Looks like he kept Assail as his next upkeep spell. So target friendly faction Warjack can charge or slam without spending focus, and they gain a +2 speed and a +2 to the slam distance that they clock them. And then looks like he kept Kreoss. That is not an upkeep spell, that is just a normal damage spell. But if Kreoss boxes its original target, it makes a spray 6 from that target being the point of origin, and it's a POW 12. And models that are boxed by Kreoss are removed from play, so they can't be, brought back. So that is nice. Next upkeep spell, we have Death Sentence still on there. When a friendly faction model misses target enemy model / unit with an attack, they can reroll that attack, and each attack can only be rerolled once per that spell. And it's also an upkeepable spell. It's a range 8, so hit that on a particularly feisty or dodgy group of enemies, and that will allow you guys to hit them a little bit easier. And then he still has Force Hammer. Force Hammer is not an upkeepable spell, it is just one of his damage doing spells. Instead of suffering normal damage rule, a non-incorporeal model hit by Force Hammer is slammed D6 inches away and a POW 12, and then the collateral damage is a POW 12 as well, so that is awesome. And then he still has Ignite, so target friendly faction model gains +2 to their melee attack damage rolls, and they get critical fire on their stuff, and that is his last upkeepable spell. So he has, I'm just going to go over it, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 upkeepable spells, all costing 2, so literally he can pull himself out 8 focus without needing to spend anything to kick all these guys out and make his army even more dangerous in the following turn after he pops his feet. So yeah, he is just as dangerous as he was, and I didn't really see anything that has changed on him. He is just as great as he was before, just as fast, although him getting the breakthrough ability, being a horse, allows him to get into places that the enemies would prefer him not to be able to get into. So